So now what are the challenges? See, all that is nice, right? So we seem to be now convinced that computer vision can do a lot of stuff, right? Okay. So the challenges are, so if I give you these images, right? It doesn't matter to you, you still say that this image contains a car. This contains a car, this contains a car, this contains a car, right? But for computer it becomes very hard, because once you have learned this, you don't know this, right? Or you learn this, you don't know this. Okay, so you only learn what you're given, right? So it's very limited in that sense. Okay, so these are still the limitations. For instance, this, right? There is a huge change in the illumination, right? But in spite of that, you can figure out that there is a person in the image. But for computer, it's hard. Okay. Even this, right? So the change of the scale of the size, it becomes difficult for computer to understand, right? But of course, these days people have worked on different kinds of techniques where they can give instances of sizes and scales so that you can learn that too. Or this, right? Of course, this seems to be difficult even for human, I suppose. You know what that image is? Can you figure out what is there in the image? What is this? So there are two animals, right? Hard to find out, but they are there, right? With difficulty you can find out. Can you? How many of you can and how many of you cannot? Please raise who can. There are two animals, that's my claim. So only 50% can. So there is one here, there is another one here, right? So okay, so that means we are not doing too bad, because if I give this to computer can't find it, right? So it's a difficult case. Okay, so if it is challenging for human, it's challenging for human computer. Now the other problem is, of course, occlusion. Occlusion means then, if the things are hidden, part of the things are hidden, right? Here you know that this is some class of cow or bull or something like that, right? But for computer to find that out is hard, because it doesn't know the entire thing, right? Because part of it is hidden. So basically what we are saying is that there are challenges, not everything works, and which is a good thing, because only then we can survive as researchers, right? Otherwise everything is closed. Okay, any questions you have so far? Because then I'll move on to something different. Questions, comments? Question? No question. Okay. So now let me move on to a slightly different topic, which is related to computer vision. You may have heard about that term. You have heard about augmented reality? You have heard about it. Wonderful. Then I don't have to talk. So, see, and actually, do you know the relation of computer vision with augmented reality? No. Okay, that's good. So, see, augmented, so have you heard about virtual reality? Okay. So, what do you know about virtual reality? Or for that matter, what do you know, even if you are not sure?
Virtual reality, like we have those games and all, computer games, where you actually enter into the game and you are a player inside. That I think is virtual. And where augmented reality stands, it is basically a reality which has been tampered with. That is what I feel, or made.
Yes.
Virtual reality is something which is not present, but if we see it through some camera, it seems real.
Okay.
Sir, virtual reality is something which we see on the computers, the screen, whatever is there, which is not in real, but we can see. Augmented is when we are practically implementing it, like robots are there.
Like?
Robots.
Okay. So, I think you are close. Yes. There is one.
Virtual reality is almost about artificial environment, but in augmented reality we have natural environment, but the object is portrayed in natural settings. Like if I just put my camera somewhere and some object is visible in front of me, and that is augmented reality. And virtual reality, everything is artificial, like even environment is artificial.
Very true. So, what you said is correct. So, and the reason why I am talking about augmented reality, yes,
It exists computer, it means virtual units. Virtual units. Virtual things.
virtual units. Okay. Right. So, see, the reason I thought of talking about augmented reality is one. So, what she said was quite close in the sense that the virtual reality is something which is synthetic, right, artificial. Augmented reality is something where you augment the reality through virtual reality. That means you bring in, you know, some of the synthetic objects into the real world. Okay. Now, the reason I thought of talking about augmented reality, A, it actually relates to computer vision, and I'll just tell you why, and B, it probably offers lots of applications which could be used in the context of education, and people have tried things out using augmented reality. So, that was the motivation I thought I'll talk about. So, just to give you sort of a spectrum, right. So, basically you think that augmented reality is a mixed reality. So, at the extreme you have virtual environment or the virtual reality, which is completely synthetic, right. It's just could be an imagination of and building your environment which does not exist, but you have that represented in the computer. And then you, on the other side, you have the real environment, okay, which is where we live. Then you have augmented reality, where you take some of the virtual environment or the objects and augment your real reality. Or it could be augmented virtuality, where you actually take the real person or the real object into the synthetic or virtual environment. Okay. So, this actually shows you, so this is some real environment, some say picture of some city. This is completely virtual, right, completely synthetic and generated in the computer. And this is an example where you have these virtual objects, right, these little cubes over the, you know, behind the glass, which is a real glass. So, you have inserted synthetic objects into the real environment. This is another kind of example where you have this person who is real, but this environment which you are seeing is synthetic. So, you have inserted a real person in the virtual environment, right. So, this shows you the spectrum. So, one of the common things which you see as augmented reality is this, right. This is, you actually see in everyday's life these days. This is annotations, right, which are nothing but virtual, right. You have synthesized them, which are available through computer, onto a real scene, right. So, you are doing an augmentation. So, this is an example of augmented reality. Okay. Now, so as was mentioned, look at the virtual reality. Virtual reality has these three important components: immersion, interaction and imagination, right? It's a completely artificial world which you build, where you have a sense of immersion and you are able to interact and you can, have certain imagination. To give you an example, this is a typical thing you find in virtual reality, right? So you have something computer generated and you put these glasses which give you a three-dimensional view of the scene, and where you can feel yourself part of the scene, right? So for instance, you must have seen 3D movies, right, where they give you these glasses, and when you go to cinema and you find everything in 3D, right? And you are able to do an interaction with different kinds of devices. So this is a typical setting of virtual reality. In augmented reality, see, as I told you, you actually bring in the virtual objects or the environment into the real. So this is a device which is very popular these days called HoloLens. So you know about holograms or holography? Yes? So what is it? Right. So you must have seen that in one of the things which was done by Prime Minister Modi. He did some holographic imaging. Okay. So what is happening is a three-dimensional imaging, right, gets transported to another site, and you can see that person through your naked eyes in 3D. Okay, that's a hologram which is based on light field or laser technology. Okay, so these HoloLens actually enable you to interact and manipulate those holographic imaging, right? So you can move things around, you can touch them, and you can do other kinds of interaction. So that's why these are very popular these days, and this is developed by Microsoft. Okay. So here what basically you are saying is this is sort of an environment which is inserted into the real scene, and these are some sort of sliders or other kinds of widgets which you can change and interact with this. Now there are some examples which I will show you which we have developed, right? So this is also taking me an opportunity to link what we have done with the area which I am talking about, right? So this is what we did as part of one of the projects from DST, where the idea was something similar. It's not anything to do with holography, but having something to do similar to augmented reality. So the idea was that we built three-dimensional representation of a site, a part of the site from Hampi in Karnataka. So have you heard about the city Hampi? Right, it's a heritage site, and then what we did, part of that we did 3D printing, right, and then we made this sort of a bench, right. So what you see here is these are the 3D printed monuments, scaled versions, and here you see the virtual parts, right, which are three-dimensional virtual representations. So when you do an interaction here, things also change here, right. And so for instance, you may not be able to get all the details in these printed parts, which you can augment through the virtual parts. Okay, that was the idea. So I have a small video. Right, on the test bench, and then you do a virtual tour of the virtual model. Okay. So this is the path which is through a laser pointer, and then what you see is in front of you is the virtual walkthrough. Okay. And you can select an object here, and then you can actually see the details in the virtual part.
Basically, the system presents a virtual walkthrough of the temple complex, which enables the user to have a look at the various temple structures without having to be physically present at the site. The interaction is handled with the help of a simple laser.
So you see, what you see here are the details, right? So that's the idea. Okay. So this I'll skip. This also I can skip. So there's another applications which we have built for medical training and education. So see, one of the thing is that the computer vision can be used for the purpose of doing evaluation and assessment. So for instance, in the medical domain, in the area of surgery and other related areas, you have lack of experts. So what happens is, during the training, where let's say a surgeon trainee is practicing on certain kinds of operations, the experts, if they start devoting too much time on their evaluation, then they don't have time to their own profession. So what we had suggested is to actually help in the assessment through video analytics. So we do the recording of their sessions and then figure out what kind of let's say efficacy or performance these people have by noticing if there are jerks in the way they are maneuvering, or if there are other kinds of errors which they make. So this is through video analytics. So that's another application which we have done. Okay, so now I am basically going to look at some of the aspects of these computer vision, augmented reality and virtual reality, and their role in education. So one of the things, of course, we know that we are actually going from information age to experience age, right? So why this paradigm shift which we need? Okay. And the reason is that we have access to all kinds of devices, right? We have the social networking, we have gaming and so on. So in fact, what we need to do is use these platforms for the purpose of education as well. Right? That's the basic interest we have. So if we look at what happens in formal education, and these are the challenges which we face, is that today the whole process of teaching is a transmissionist method. That is, a teacher comes, transmit information, and then hopes for the best, right? And there is no attempt to figure out what was the experience of the student in this whole process. So, and in many cases, the authentic learning contexts are also not derived, right? So you teach with certain context, but you don't know what is the context in which a student wants to learn, right? Okay, and there is a complete lack of skills in terms of imparting things like empathy or systems thinking or creativity, right, which don't exist in the way we perform teaching today, right? And in other words, if you look at this whole educational system, it's pretty static, okay, and it's too much generalized. Too much generalized means we expect, okay, 100 people will come, we give the same kind of lecture to those 100 people and think that all these 100 people are very similar, right, which may not be the case. So there is no attempt to self-development or individualized or personalized teaching, okay. So that's where we can use technology of a similar kind which we have discussed to be able to address these challenges. So one of the things is, of course, we know that student engagement is one point, right, and where we actually see that this augmented reality or virtual reality kind of things can help you, because they can do experiments, they can be in that environment and feel in that environment, right. So one of the example is, for instance, Google Expedition. So I don't know whether you have tried. If you haven't, then you may try that. It basically enables you to take people to virtual fields, right. So even you can go to Mars, okay, and then get that experience. So that's where we need tools and techniques to augment the experience and engagement of students. The other thing is that there's something which is called constructivist learning, right. So basically allowing students to construct their own knowledge from meaningful experience, right, which is not so much encouraged in the manner we do teaching today, right. So, and that's where we feel that this augmented reality or virtual reality can help, because they are put into an environment and where they discover themselves about what they are learning, and then they can construct their own knowledge, right. The other thing is, as I said, authentic experience in relevant context. So this is basically trying to say that the experience has to be authentic with respect to the student, right, in what context they want to learn. The other thing is, you can also give new perspective. So as we were talking about this virtual reality and augmented reality, where once you are put into an environment where others can also participate, and let's say if you are put into a situation where you are constrained to do certain things, okay, then you understand what does it mean to be constrained, right, so that you can understand the perspective of the other person. If you are not constrained, then you don't understand the limitations or the empathy from others' point of view. So this is important, so that you can put shoes of other people on your feet. Okay. Creativity, of course, is another aspect which you can perhaps do better in using these tools. So some of the tools which I just browsed it from the internet, and I am just listing them, you can refer to them. So Labster is basically a virtual lab kind of an environment, right, which has virtual reality and augmented reality. And in fact, so this was from an article by Nicola Jones in Nature, where they are giving an environment which is almost mimicking what happens in the real labs, so that they can experience different kinds of experiments they perform. The good thing is that you can repeat this number of times, you can do lots of errors and then again perform that experiment. Nothing is going to get destroyed, right. So that's another part. So that's the advantage of using these kinds of environments. And in fact, there are certain things which are often prohibited in actual labs, which you can perform in virtual labs, because you are not really doing them, right, you are doing virtually. Okay. So if something makes to explode, you can still perform that. That's not something you can do in real labs. So these are some of the advantages which you can do. And there are certain assessments which have been made, and people have found out that the learning using these kinds of environments enhances in terms of some percentage, and you can also see the level of understanding they get. However, they also notice that if you are talking in terms of the textbook type learning, that doesn't happen, right, because you may be poor in getting those kinds of things practiced, right. Okay, so there is one thing which they have mentioned that as a limitation of such environment, and which I find is quite interesting, is that when you are doing in a real lab, there is a sense of frustration, right? Because results don't come if you don't fudge, right? They don't come so easily. So there is a sense of frustration, and then suddenly the results come, and that's where change happens, right? That feeling may not happen in virtual environments. So there is a lack of realism, right? That's a different realism, because that's a real scenario. You will be frustrated and suddenly you will feel elated because you have got the results, right? So that's something which you are going to miss in these virtual environments. Okay, so these are some of the snapshots of such environments like Labster, as I told you. So this is where you are visualizing some model and doing an annotation through augmented reality, and you can actually get lots of details through this, right? So you can go further down and get more details into it. Similarly, here you can experiment by changing colors of this car, right? So that could be even a part of your production line, not necessarily for education, and then figure out what colors should you be choosing. This is another example of anatomy study, right, where you can pop out or pop up those figures in a 3D objects, right, and then you can experiment with them and you can manipulate them and so on, right. So it's just augmenting what you have in your traditional books. And these are some of the other examples. So there is this Elements 4D, which is used for the purpose of chemistry education. AugThat is again a classroom environment generating in augmented reality. Math Alive is for small kids, where they can learn mathematics using such kinds of tools. And there are many such kinds of platforms which exist. Okay, so what we have basically said to conclude, well, there are definitely benefits, right, which we have seen in terms of interaction, in terms of engagement, right, and in terms of offering personalized learning, right. So, and then basically if you have sound pedagogy and innovative experiences, then this augmented reality can offer you a gateway for educators to enter into the experience age, right. That's what our motivation was. There are issues are related to the cost, right. So these environments are still expensive to acquire, and as I said, there is a lack of realism, as we just noticed, okay, and there could also be health issues, right. So when we put these HoloLens kinds of head mounted displays, so there is a study which suggests that after 30 minutes you get some sort of a dizziness, right, and there could be other health issues which are related to the kind of radiations which are happening through different kinds of equipments which you have got. So there are some issues which you need to look at, but I think the punchline here is that we are not looking for replacement, we are not looking for replacing teachers, we are not looking for replacing laboratories. What we are really looking for is complementing them, right. So if we have, so there's no either or kind of a scenario. All we want is to put these things together and then enhance the process of teaching learning, right. That's what we want. So those of you who are interested in more learning about a computer vision can look at this book, which we generally follow for teaching computer vision. So the first chapter, which is the introduction part, could be meaningful. Okay, so that's where I stop. Any questions, comments? Oh, that's not what my topic was, but still. See, deep learning is a kind of machine learning where, so you understand machine learning. So what are you doing in machine learning? You are trying to make machine learn through examples, right? So in deep learning what happens is you do machine learning but with more data, right? So in the context of neural networks, which is what is being used as a technique, you see the process of learning by adding what are called as hidden layers, right? So you have input, you have output, and in between you have certain layers, right? And these layers make you learn the relationship between the input and the output, right? So if you learn it well, then hidden layers perform better, right? So you basically assess your learning through hidden layer, right? If you increase the number of these hidden layers, right, then it becomes deep in terms of the architecture, right? So if you have lots of these hidden layers, then your whole architecture becomes deep in terms of the number of layers, and that's what is called as deep learning, which in turn requires you to give lots of input data, or this relationship which you establish between input and output, right? Any other question? Yes.
Is there any tool for teaching English the students, as you have discussed the tool Maths Alive?
Right.
Is there any tool for teaching English also?
I suppose so. So see, they have these flashcards, right? So flashcards are for small kids. So they write some kind of a letter or a word, and then what happens is that the through the augmented reality they gets popped out, and then even you see the pronunciation and how they are spoken. All that is associated with that. So yeah, they exist.
Can augmented reality be used in banking and finance sector?
Wow, that's a tough one. I mean, see, I can make a sweeping statement, yes, for any application it's possible, but I suppose for banking and the requirements are very different, right? Because you don't want to play with money, right? Where there is a transaction of money, right? You need to be careful. You don't want to have virtual money in terms of, of course, there exists a notion of electronic money, right? You don't have physical money, but I think I would not encourage augmented reality to go to banking so far. Yeah, so this is what I said, if you actually look at the first chapter, and by the way, this is available as PDF, okay. So I would encourage you to look at the first chapter, and if you think you are able to understand the following chapters, you are welcome to look at them. But the first chapter is going to give you a basic background and actually talk about the different applications which I mentioned.